经典演说篇，我回顾一下第95到97集，就是比尔·克林顿他总统就职演说啊。因为前面讲过，我们就不再解释它意思，我们只是念一下，回顾一下啊，顺便学一下发音啊。My fellow citizens, today we celebrate the mystery of the American renewal. The ceremony is held in the depth of winter, but by the words we speak and the faces we show the world, we forge the spring. The spring reborn the world's oldest democracy, that brings forth the vision and courage to invent America. When our founders boldly declared America's independence to the world and our purposes to the Almighty, they knew that America, to endure it, would have to change. Not change for change's sake, but change to preserve America's ideas, life, liberty, to pursue the happiness. Though we march to the music of our time, our mission is timeless. Each generation of Americans must define what it means to be an American. On behalf of our nation, I salute my predecessor, President Bush, for his half-century of service to America. And I thank the millions of men and women whose steadfastness and sacrifice triumph over depression, fascism, and communism. Today, a generation raised in the shadows of the Cold War assumes new responsibilities in a world warmed by the sunshine of freedom, but threatened still by ancient hatreds and new plagues. Raising unrivaled prosperity, we inherit an economy that is still the world's strongest, but is weakened by business failures, stagnant wages, increasing inequality, and deep divisions among our people. When George Washington first took the oath I have just sworn out to uphold, news traveled slowly across the land by horseback and across the ocean by boat. Now the sights and sounds of the ceremony and broadcast instantaneously to billions around the world. Communications and commerce are global. Investment is mobile. Technology is almost magical, and ambition for a better life is now universal. We earned our livelihood in peaceful competition with people across the earth. Profound and powerful forces are shaking and remaking our world, and the urgent question of our time is whether we can make a change our friend and not our enemy. This new world has already enriched the lives of millions of Americans who are able to compete and win in it. But when most of the people are working harder for less, when others cannot work at all, when the cost of health care devastates families and threatens to bankrupt many of our enterprises, great and small, when fear the crime robs law-abiding citizens of their freedom, and when millions of poor children cannot even imagine the lives we are calling them to lead, we have not made change, our friend. We know we have to face hard truths and take strong steps, but we have not done so. Instead, we have drifted, and that drifting has eroded our resources, fractured our economy, and shaken our confidence. Though our challenges are fearsome, so are our strengths. And Americans have ever been a restless, question, hopeful people. We must bring to our task today the vision and will of those who came before us. From the Revolution, the Civil War, to the Great Depression, to the Civil Rights Movement, our people have always mustered the determination to construct from their crises and pillars of our history. Thomas Jefferson believed that to preserve the very foundations of a nation, we would need a dramatic change from time to time. Well, my fellow citizens, this is our time. Let us embrace it. Our democracy must be not only the envy of the world, but the engine of our own renewal. There's nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America. And so today we pledge an end to the era of deadlock and drift. A new season of American renewal has begun. To renew America, we must be bold. We must do what no generation has had to do before. We must invest more in our own people, in their jobs, in their future, and at the same time cut our massive debt. And we must do so in a world in which we must compete for every opportunity. It will not be easy. It will require sacrifice. But it can be done. And done fairly. Not choosing sacrifice for its own sake, but for our own sake. We must provide for our nation the way a family provides for its children. Our founders saw themselves in the light of posterity. We can do no less. Anyone who has ever watched a child's eyes wandering to sleep knows what posterity is. Posterity is the word to come, the word for whom we hold our ideals, from whom we have borrowed our planet, and to whom we bear sacred responsibility. We must do what America does best, offer more opportunity to all, and demand responsibility from all. It is time to break the bad habit of expecting something for nothing, from our government or from each other. Let us all take more responsibility, not only for ourselves and our families, but for our communities and our country. To renew America, we must revitalize our democracy. This beautiful capital, like every capital since the dawn of civilization, is often a place of intrigue and calculation. Powerful people maneuver for position and worry endlessly about who is in and who's out, who is up and who's down, forgetting those people whose toil and sweat sends us here and pays our way. Americans deserve better. In the city today, there are people who want to do better. And so I say to all of us here, let us resolve to reform our politics so that the power and privilege no longer shout down the voice of the people. Let us put aside personal advantage so that we can feel the pain and see the promised America. Let us resolve to make our government a place for what Franklin Roosevelt called a bold, persistent experimentation, a government for our tomorrows, not our yesterdays. Let us give this capital back to the people to whom it belongs. To renew America, we must meet challenges abroad as well at home. There is no longer division between what is foreign and what is domestic. The world economy, the world environment, the world AIDS crisis, the world arms race, the affects us all. Today, as an old order passes, the new world is more free but less stable. Communism's collapse has called forth old animosities and new dangers. Clearly, America must continue to lead the world with it so much to make. While America rebuilds at home, we will not shrink from the challenges, nor fail to seize the opportunities of this new world. Together with our friends and allies, we will work to shape change, lest it engulf us. When our vital interests are challenged, or the will and the conscience of the international community is defied, we will act with peaceful diplomacy whenever possible, with force when necessary. The brave Americans serving our nation today in the Persian Gulf, in Somalia, and whatever else, to stand on testament to our resolve. But our greatest strength is the power of our ideas, which are still new in many lands. Across the world, we see them embraced and we rejoiced. Our hearts, our hands are with those on every continent who are building democracy and freedom. Their cause is America's cause. The American people have summoned the change we celebrate today. You have raised your voices in an unmistakable chorus. You have cast your votes in historical numbers. And you have changed the face of Congress, the presidency, and the political process itself. Yes, you, my fellow Americans, have forged a spring. Now we must do the work the season demands. To that work, I now turned without the authority of my office. I asked the Congress to join with me. But no president, no Congress, no government can undertake this mission alone. My fellow Americans, you too must play your part in our renewal. I challenge a new generation of young Americans to seize the service, to act on your idealism by helping troubled children, keeping company with those in need, reconnecting our torn communities. There is so much to be done, enough indeed for millions of others who are still young in spirit to give of themselves in service too. In serving, we recognize a simple but powerful truth. We need each other, and we must care for one another. Today, we do more than celebrate America. We dedicate ourselves to the very idea of America, an idea born in revolution and renewed through 2 centuries of challenge, an idea tempered by the knowledge that but for fate we, the fortunate and unfortunate, might have been each other, an idea ennobled by the faith that our nation can summit from its mirrored diversity to the deepest measure of unity, an idea infused with the conviction that America's long, heroic journey must go forever upward. And so, my fellow Americans, at the age of the 21st century, let us begin with energy and hope, with faith and discipline, and let us work until our work done. The scripture says, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. From the joyful mountaintop of celebration, we hear a call to service in the valley. We have heard the trumpets, we have chained God, and now, each in our way, and with God's help, we must answer the call. Thank you, and God bless you all. 这集回顾到这里。